Whether it's terrorism abroad or going from home to work, a good day can go bad at any given time. And what used to be the wrong place at the wrong time has quickly become any place at any time. So being prepared for worst case scenario becomes important. Kidnapping and violent crimes being the worst. One deadly skill that you should know how to do is hide tools on your body that can allow you to escape a bad situation. The two most valuable tools to carry is a handcuff key and a razor blade. I recommend with the razor blades, you wrap it up in duct tape and you dog ear an end so that you can get to the blade. This also prevents you cutting yourself when you're trying to get to it. Razor blade will get you out of duct tape, rope, twine, or zip ties. Most people don't know, but one handcuff key can get you out of all handcuffs. They're all keyed the same. A great place to hide these is maybe the handcuff key in your right shoe and your razor blade in your left shoe. If your hands are bound together, whether it's in front or behind you, you can always slip down to your shoes to get to your tools. If you know you're going to a high-risk area where the potential of violent crime and kidnappings could occur, hide everything behind the bandage portion of a Band-Aid. Right behind there, the non-stick area, you could put a handcuff key and the razor blade, and then put it on your body in an area in which your hands can get to if they're bound together. You can also get a little more exotic and make a silicone scar of some sort, hide tools in the scar, and put the scar somewhere on your body. And the worst case scenario is if you get stripped down naked and they take your shoes and they take everything, you at least still have your tools on your body. Let's say you find yourself in the trunk of your own car and you have no idea how to get out. When people get kidnapped, there are times when they're put into their own vehicle, in their own trunk. We're going to go ahead and go over the anatomy and physiology of a trunk and show you exactly what to do so you can get out. Number one takeaway is never allow yourself to get to the first stop. When they abduct you, they're not going to do a great job restraining you. But when they get to the first stop, they will. You want to avoid that at all costs. Since 2007, 2008, all manufacturers have been required to put an emergency trunk latch inside all makes and models. For this vehicle, we have the emergency release right here. It's a glow-in-the-dark little lever that is directly connected to the latch lock. In older model vehicles, that's 2008 or older, you're going to have to dig through the molding of the vehicle in the trunk and actually get to the lock and then find the working parts of it and manually unlatch it. The next means of escape is through the back seats. In newer model vehicles, the seat release is sometimes located right there in the trunk. Older model vehicles, you're going to have to kick those seats down. Another means of escape is what you're laying on when you're inside, and that is the spare tire jack. The tire jack is usually located underneath a false floor inside the trunk. You want to grab that thing and you're going to pull it out, put it together, you're going to put it down on solid surface and you're going to start cranking it. As you crank it from the inside, it's going to break the trunk lock and then allow you to escape. If you find yourself abducted or kidnapped and handcuffs are being used to restrain you, it's important to know how to get out of them. There are 3 techniques in order to bypass handcuffs, other than using the key. You either pick it, shim it, or pry it apart. Now, picking is pretty difficult to explain because you need to know what you're feeling for on the inside, and you need to do it a lot while being restrained in order to be good at it if this comes your way. The easiest way is to shim it. The goal is to get something thin enough and sturdy enough to go in between the ratchet teeth and the ratchet itself inside. There's very few things out there, so ideally you have a shim that's already pre-made, but a bobby pin will work. I'm going to use the back end of a tension wrench. The first thing you want to do is get in between the case and the teeth. The most important thing about this, in order for it to work when these are on your wrist, is you've got to have at least a little bit of slack in the ratchet. You can't have the handcuffs on all the way. You're actually going to make the handcuffs tighter, at least by 4 clicks. And then once it's in between the ratchet teeth and the ratchet, now you can just open up and you're out. One of the 3 means of escaping the handcuffs is trying to bend the double bow portion of the cuff. You try and pry it apart and break the rivet. You're going to take something just as hard or harder than the handcuffs, obviously another piece of metal, and you're going to put it in there. You're going to want to draw this all the way up on your arm. As you start to twist, you can see a gap form Now, this is going to be painful. In a life or death situation, the pain and the blood that this causes isn't going to matter. Freedom is what matters. And so by twisting this, it's going to cut my arm in several places. Eventually, it's going to break the rivet, and then I'll be free. If you feel like you're being followed, but you're not sure on how to detect it, there's a simple acronym that'll help you. TEDD. TED. T stands for time, E stands for environment, D stands for distance, and the second D stands for demeanor. These 4 principles are used to determine whether somebody is stalking you or not. Time. Take your movements, your pattern of life, your daily habits. You want to switch up those times. That pattern of life is always the same. Anybody watching will be able to take advantage of you. When you leave your home to go to work each morning, it should be different, even though it's pretty much probably the same right now. In the times in which you stay at different locations, extend the time or shorten it depending on what you've done the time prior. Environment. If you're always going to the same places, well, you need to change them up. Go to different environments. And the same thing with distance. You want to increase distance and shorten distances between your stops. Demeanor. Your demeanor needs to project something of confidence and that you know what you're doing, where you're going at all times, and that your head's on a swivel and you're looking around and you're always ready. And that will deter most of your stalkers. Now, how does all that help you when someone is following you? And how do you determine whether or not you're being followed? Well, if you're changing up your times, but you're still seeing someone, if you're increasing, decreasing your distance between stops and you're still seeing someone, and if you're changing the environment on a regular basis and you still see that same person, well, then you can confirm that, yes, you are being stalked. Demeanor is a big one. A bad guy is going to give off certain signals. If he's used to a certain pattern of life and then you change it up, his demeanor is going to show that. He's used to you driving by at a certain time and you don't, then he might present himself out in the open looking for you. If you go into a store and you stay in there for an extended period of time, well, then he may come in and actually look for you. It can be all 4 of these things, or it can be just 1 or 2 of these things. Leveraging time, environment, distance, and demeanor, and changing those all up at all times will allow you to determine whether or not you're being followed. If you confirm that you're being followed, first rule, let people know around you. Number 2, call 911. Make sure you pay attention to what they're wearing. If you feel threatened, well, now you need to go into more of a run, hide, fight stance. If you can run, increase distance, increases survivability. If you can hide behind things that actually conceal you or stop bullets. And then if you need to fight, you find yourself in the bathroom, you find yourself in a confined environment, well, then try to team up with others first of all. But if you're by yourself, look for improvised weapons and be ready to fight and be as offensive, as violent, if not more, than your adversary if you want to win. We've just touched on some skills that have helped me, and I hope they help you. It's better to know them than not, and I hope that you never have to use them. Be safe and good luck out there.